Hey, so it's been a bit since I checked in. Thought I should probably do that. Things are good. Been thinking a lot about what I wanted to say on this check-in. I actually have been a little thoughtful about how much I don't necessarily love the idea that I'm always just checking in. And that's sort of the point maybe of these videos, but I thought I would maybe branch out and talk about some other stuff or what's going on in my brain other than, this whole check-in about still not drinking or smoking or etc. So I guess the big check-in would be that I'm feeling way better. I'm seated right now and I've been walking around and I'm not in pain. I'm super sore. My hip and my leg are super sore, but the pain has been pretty much minimized, and not for any use of Tylenol or muscle relaxers or anything. I haven't been taking any of those meds, so I'm feeling really good about all that physically. I'm still battling that feeling of soreness, but I'm so grateful that I don't feel pain anymore in my leg and my hip. And, I suppose one of the things I've really been thinking a lot about lately is the idea of time. 2 weeks ago, I could have sworn it felt like I would never, ever feel the lack of pain in my leg. Like it felt like something that I would just always have to deal with in that moment. And that's funny, right? Like in that moment, what does in that moment mean? Because the moment is a really unique, obviously powerful thing, powerful motivator. It's a powerful, there's nothing else like it in the world, because it's the only thing that we ever have, and it's always changing. If I say that I'm in the moment right now, well, that moment that I was just in is gone. It's already gone, even though it was just now. And I can maintain that. I can try to maintain being in the moment. At any given moment, that can shift. I can then be in my head about something, or, feel a certain way about a certain something. And, so I felt a couple weeks ago that I wouldn't, ever have a pain-free leg again. And, I'm still in the healing process. I think one of the things that really helped was my second cranial sacral appointment. And my guy, he really was able to work into my hip and some of my leg, and that really loosened some of the muscle bands in there. And what was really interesting was that the next day or two, I was having severe shoulder and neck tightness. And I think that because it's all connected, that was my experience from that, is that it shifted from my hip and my leg to my neck and my back and my shoulders. But anyway, so yeah, thinking about time and wondering, in a previous video I had talked about this idea of who are we and what defines us. And then I get to thinking, when time is involved with that, is there a point that you can think back on, or that I can think back on in my life, where I don't necessarily relate to or think that I am the same person I was when, way back when, or, maybe 10 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago. I mean, for me, I think it's more, I do maintain a connection to the previous me. That previous me is important in my decision making. In fact, the teenage version of myself is helpful to me, has been helpful to me in this quest to treat my body without drugs and alcohol for this extended period of time. Because when I was a teenager, I was not interested in putting any of this type of stuff, any of that type of thing in my body. So I was able to sort of tap into that self-righteousness, I guess is maybe an appropriate term for how I felt about not doing that. And it wasn't so much like righteousness above anyone else. It was more like this righteousness about my own body, this righteousness about what I deserved. And so I have tapped into that a little bit in order to maintain my choice to not allow any of that into my body right now. So I guess I'm 31 days into this, 31 days into the challenge, which feels good. I feel very confident, obviously, that I will continue to complete the challenge. So 32 days or 31 days, you know, a lot has happened in that time. A lot has happened in the last week. There's so much that you don't know about what has happened in my last week, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you all about it. Not because I'm trying to be secretive, but, you know, it's very personal. Everything that goes on in my life is very personal, and I'm not trying to reprimand you for being curious about it. That's not what I'm doing here. What I'm trying to do is explain a little bit about how I feel that time impacts us as people. I think that we have a tendency to make poor decisions in the moment for a momentary boost, which is interesting because that moment is then gone, and then we have to deal with the consequences of that choice. So if I'm making a poor choice in a relationship or a poor choice for myself, like let's say smoking, for example. If I were to have a cigarette and get a momentary pleasure from having that cigarette and a momentary whatever that would do for me, I would then immediately upon ceasing smoking, I would then have to deal with the fact that I have just smoked. And that having just smoked is the reality I have to deal with for a perpetual amount of moments until I have quit again. You know, if it's 2 hours or 2 days or 2 months, whatever it is. Like right now I'm 31 days into not smoking. So my current reality is that I'm not doing that. If I were to break my challenge and smoke, in the moment I might feel some pleasure, but directly after that moment I would feel awful for shattering this thing that I have started to create. And that awful feeling would maybe, you know, be perpetual. I don't know necessarily what the consequences of that are. Some of the decisions that we make for momentary pleasure have extremely detrimental consequences to not only ourselves but to those around us. So it's a really interesting thing, time is. You know, I hope that you're familiar with the butterfly effect theory where, you know, if you were to go back in time and just do one little thing differently, it would have this enormous impact in how the future would be. And I like to think that that if that is true, then why not make momentary adjustments right now that could have a much more positive impact on you in the future, right? Right? That's powerful stuff. That for me, it's like I can make a concession right now so that I don't do something that gives me momentary pleasure, but ultimately is going to set myself up, future me up for feeling better or feeling more proud of myself or feeling more confident in myself, rather than looking back and saying, oh, I cannot believe that I did that in that moment. So there's my little rant on time. It's a little bit longer of a video today, and partly that's just because I haven't checked in a while, and partly it's because I'm trying to get away from just the check-in and go more towards what's going on in my brain. So thanks for hanging out with me a little bit, and I hope you have a great Tuesday. I know that I will. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to go to work right now. I'm here, I'm ready to rock. So I hope that you are ready to rock too, and that you're doing great, and that you make momentary decisions that help future you have a better life. Okay, bye.